Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK.
And I'm Courtney.
And Courtney, how are you?
I forgot about this part of our podcast. It's fine. When did I see you? I'm tired. We saw each other Thursday.
No,
Was that?
Monday. It was
Oh, it was
Monday.
the week before that we did Thursday. Wow, it is
Yeah.
a whole new world. We are in a whole new world. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm tired. I did my first overnight at Rachel and Nick's with the baby, so I'm surviving from that, which is exciting and fun. Um, Been doing some essays, for bar prep, panicking a little bit. It's like I
Hmm.
made it through the first two subjects and I was like, family law, got it. And then it was like property, and I was like, I don't really got it, but it seems like I can fake my way through it, even though I did have a panic attack then.
Yeah.
Um, did figure out how to fake my way through it. And I was like, okay, cool, cool, cool. Um, and then I got to Louisiana civil procedure.
Oh, absolutely not.
And I was just like, I don't even know regular civil procedure. And I did take a test on that already. I took three classes on it and a bar on it. I don't know that. I have to take that on this bar too. It's both Louisiana and federal is on this one. Two
Oh,
separate
yeah.
sections. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. And I keep like, I have made literally 100-page outline that I handwrote myself, that I created myself to get the important topics. I have read over the actual outline 73 times. I don't know. I've taken essays on it, but it's so fact driven of like what is the time, like what is your period of time you have to prescription. That's what I'm trying to say. When is the prescription run for filing this type of claim, this type of motion, this type of thing? And we don't use words like countersue here in Louisiana. We use a different word that I can't ever remember. I think it's
Great.
reconventional demand. I think that's a counterclaim. I couldn't tell you because I keep reading it and then immediately forgetting it. So I have to learn both words because I'm taking two different exams on civil procedure during the bar. And I have to learn there's minimum 50 different prescription timeframes I have to remember that you have like 5 days to submit this, or you've waived it. You have 30 days. This is how long you have for these 10 different things. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna get there. And it's not even like you can, like, usually it's essay questions, and I'm
Right.
really good at like kind of talking my way through that. But
Yeah.
these are all like short answer. And so it's like, literally, it's like, how many days do you have to file this and why?
And if you don't answer it in 20 words, you're done.
Right, like if you don't know it, you don't know it. Like it's not like I mean, I'll lie. I'll lie about it. That's what I've done with practice exams. I'm like, I think this one's 30 days. We'll see if I'm right. Like, but that's I can't make something up and it be true.
That's
So that's been
crazy.
very stressful. And this is the first year in a very long time that we also have a new drafter for the Louisiana Civil Procedure section. Because there's like an attorney who drafts each
Yeah.
part of the bar exam every year, and we have the new drafter for the first time in like I think it's like 15 years. And it's been very repetitive in the past 15 years. And so now I'm like, we're gonna get this new guy. Could be a woman, who's to say? But we're gonna get this new guy, and he's gonna be like, you know what? We've tested the same thing for 15 years. I'm gonna put different questions on the bar exam this year. And I'm
Oh,
not gonna do short answer. I'm gonna do it this way instead. Because they can do that.
that's
Because there is
insane.
173 pages of an outline for Louisiana civil procedure, and we are tested on like 45 of them right now. He could pick 45 different ones to test us on, and that's okay.
I would die.
So, and this is one of the exams that's worth twice as many points, I think. Oh wait, no, it's not. I think it's only the first three codes. I think this one's only worth one times, which is better. But yeah, so I'm in a little bit of a panic attack about that constantly. Um,
So it's
but
probably
I'm sure.
not the time to give you the countdown number.
Absolutely not. I talked to my therapist about you, and I told her that you giving me numbers. She asked me what my countdown was, and I said I just told my friend I can't do this. And she was like, "Oh, okay."
Um,
Anyways, yeah. So how are you?
so because the countdown number is smaller than Courtney wants it to be, but I won't give her an
Mhm.
actual number because she'll actually panic. Because
Yeah.
it's low enough that you will actually start panicking.
Uh-huh. Oh, I know. I
Um,
have 6.5 weeks. I'm well aware because I've set up my schedule where I can do two full exams before then. For six
yeah.
and a half weeks.
Oh God. And your first practice full exam is this weekend.
Mhm. I'm
Yay.
thriving.
Um, yeah, it's 28 days till I leave.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, when I leave is earlier than when you take the test.
Yeah, but not by like a ton. But like literally I have 6.5 weeks. Like I
Yeah.
start on it's June 21st and maybe 7 weeks, I guess, is what it is. But because it will take me 6 weeks to do one full day of a practice exam to make up two full exams.
Hmm.
So I guess I have 7 weeks.
Yeah, I have four. A month from now, I will be in Brussels.
Wow.
Um, but because of that, I no longer care about anything else in my life.
Sure.
Dan is really upset because I have gained two intense hyperfixations, neither which are helpful to us getting the house ready for summer. Um, One is that I have my lesson plans for the entire school year for next year outlined. Like just bare bones. Like I
Amazing.
don't have like
Sure.
materials prepped, but I have the bare bones outlines for the entire school year done for eighth and ninth grade. And then 10th grade, I'm halfway through, and 11th and 12th, I am only to November. But I decided to stop working on that at the home because that's what I'm doing while I'm not teaching at school.
Mm. Yeah. That makes sense. That
Because
makes
we still have a
sense.
whole week of classes, but all my kids are taking their final exams. Like they're
Mhm.
doing their final projects, they're doing their final presentations. I'm not actively teaching. So while I'm sitting there and like I'm not
Right.
prepping because I'm not actively teaching. So other than the work we have to do for like getting translated copies and rearranging the exam schedules for our kids, I don't have any work to do. So I'm just
Mhm.
planning for next year, which is fine. That's an appropriate use of my time at school. So I feel
Sure.
less. It was just that the other day I was so close to finishing it that I couldn't do anything I needed to finish that school year. And he was like, okay. Um, the more problematic one is that I am now Google Earth walking the routes of everywhere that I'm gonna have to walk in Europe so that I know what landmarks to look for so that I don't get lost while I'm walking in cities. So like I know that when I get off the train in Brussels to get to the hotel, I have to walk past the Parliament building, and then when I get to the monument that is the Slovenia or Slovakian national anthem monument, that's where I turn. Like
That is smart.
it's smart, but it's psychotic. Um,
Right. Correct.
it's everybody's like, oh, that's really smart that you're doing that, and it is, and it's great, and like knowing that just in case something happens with my phone or that I lose like my maps, like it's a really intelligent thing to do. However,
Yeah.
when Dan is like, hey, do you want to work on the garden? And I'm like, no, I'm walking through rural Brussels right now. It's problematic.
Right. That's like what you do when you're laying in bed at 11 p.m. and you're like, I should not be scrolling on my phone. I should be going to bed. That's when you scroll through the
Yes,
cities.
yes, but I'm doing it all day, every day.
Right. Well, that's why I'm telling you that's not when you do it. You do it when you lay in bed at night.
Yeah, so that's
Forbes
what,
is plenty of time to lay in bed and scroll, and you'll
yeah.
you'll get through it all.
Yeah, but I also only have 6 more days of having to wake up early.
Dope.
My school's not done till the 27th of July, but because my students get additional time for their exams, I have a flex time schedule where I can come in late because I have to stay late for their exams.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
if you volunteer to work graduation, which I didn't realize was a volunteer thing because everywhere else I've ever been, it was part of our contract that we had to be there. But if you and I have seniors graduating anyway, so like I want to go. If you volunteer to do graduation, you also get hours that you can either use as flex time or add to your professional development hours.
Ooh.
I already have enough classes for my all of my professional development hours, so I'm using them as flex time, which means that in the last 2 weeks of school, I have 16 and a half hours of flex time. So that means I don't have to come to work before 9:30 ever.
I love that for you.
Me too. So I have 6 more days of having to be up before 7. So I can do it. I can do
You
it.
got this.
And then they're changing our start
Jealous,
time
but I
next
think you got
year.
this.
They're changing our start time next year to 20 minutes later. So
Ooh, that's exciting.
it's a whole drama.
Sure. I mean,
But
yeah.
but they're starting
I
our
remember
start.
our high school did it while I was in high school, and I remember it being
Yeah.
a big crazy deal.
Um, yeah, it's crazy. And teachers are unhappy and union drama and politics, and it's really crazy. But I'm like, listen, switching my day from 7:35 to from my day right now goes from 7:35 to 3:05. They're gonna switch it to 7:55 to 3:25. That's the time I go to work anyway.
Right. Nothing's changing for you except that
I
you're
was
gonna
like,
be on time to
what
work.
a couple of the counselors in the ENL department, we were like, that's already our schedule. I don't okay, sure. Um,
I love that. I love that for you.
yeah, so
I also have a flex schedule, and by that I mean I just show up when I feel like all the time, everywhere.
it's great. So since we're both counting down for very different reasons,
I'm not counting anything down.
but it's
Speak for yourself.
it is detrimental to both for our mental health. Can you give us some words of
Oh God.
encouragement?
I was like bundled. I wasn't ready to give you words of encouragement. I only slept 2 hours last night, full disclosure. And
No,
that was only
I'm
like kind of. So everyone, this is my last quote. How apropos. Um,
perfect.
a confident woman is unstoppable, unshakable, and undeniable. Walk like you already have everything you've ever prayed for. Nailed that.
Nice.
I nailed that.
Yeah. All right. Today we are watching, or did watch, Stargate SG-1 Season 8, Episode 1, New Order, Part 1. It was rated 8.5 stars, and it premiered on July 9th, 2004. Um, the number one song is I Believe by Fantasia. Because remember how,
I do remember that.
do you remember how back in the early 2000s somebody won American Idol and then immediately became like the number one artist for like a very short amount of time and then we all forgot about them again?
Yeah, except
And
Kelly
that was,
Clarkson.
yeah, and that was like the cycle of American Idol. And now American Idol's still on. I quite literally
I
could.
will say Fantasia had a much bigger lasting impact than some of the other
She
ones.
did, but it was also because it was early. So like, and like,
Yeah.
Carrie on, or I'm sorry, Kelly Clarkson won and obviously lasted. Season two was the Clay and Ruben era, and Ruben had more of an impact than people think because he really only
Yeah.
stayed in the gospel and R&B field.
Right.
But then obviously Clay stuck around for a while, and then Ruben and Clay started touring together, and it was very strange, and they're like best friends, and it's amazing. Um, and then Fantasia was season three, and she lasted for a while too.
Like
Carrie
when I
Under.
was on the when I was on the cruise last year or year before, I don't know when I was on the cruise, we made friends with people and they were like hyping up her new album and like
Yeah,
talking about
but
like
again,
going on tour. And
it's
it's
because it's in the gospel R&B era, and that's not
Mhm.
like pop. And then
Yeah.
season four was Carrie Underwood, and then season five and on, there are some people who made it, but even then, they made it nichely. And like current American Idol, I genuinely can't tell you a single person who's been on the show in years.
I can because it was a girl from my hometown that everyone knows. So that's the only reason I know.
Oh, I was gonna say I have one of those, but no, she was on The Voice. She wasn't on American Idol.
I know more people personally that have been on The Voice than I
Yeah.
do on American Idol. Um,
Weirdly, so do
but
I.
yeah, I mean, I so
I don't.
mine makes more sense. But
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, number of people I know who've been on The Voice is four, so like not that high.
I mean, I have a huge number. I think it's probably under 10, but I do think it's more than four.
Well, and three of them are three who perform as a group.
Mm,
Three of the four are a group that sing together that are drag queens that
gotcha.
I met in New York City before they went on TV. So,
Right.
so like,
Mine are all separate people. They're all
yeah.
separate.
The number one book was 10 Big Ones by Janet Ivanovich. So she was doing her thing. And the number one movie was Spider-Man 2.
This is Tobey Maguire,
Tobey
right?
Maguire.
Fantastic
Yes,
Four?
no, yeah, this is Tobey Maguire.
What
Um,
a gem.
what a gem. On this day, I'm telling you, it took me so long to find anything. This was I'm so sick of being pre-internet era in TV purely for the news segment portion.
Mhm.
I don't actually care about the rest of it. But
Right.
I have three random things that I found that may or may not have even happened on this day, but they were written about
They
as
were
if
close
they
enough.
happened. They were
Yeah.
written about in articles as if like news from the week, as if it happened this day. They're all entertainment news because real world news was either depressing or non-existent. Um,
Or,
Kevin Liles was ousted from Def Jam on this day.
mm,
Um,
yeah.
Oprah donated $1 million to an Underground Railroad museum. And Vanna White announced her engagement using Wheel of Fortune letters.
Oh, I remember that. That was
Yes.
so cute. Oh, bless her. I love
Yeah,
her.
I know. So those are that was my three pieces of news that potentially happened this day.
Fun fact, speaking of Vanna White, I went to law school with the German Vanna White,
Oh, love
and
that.
her daughter's bed was Marie Antoinette's, I think. Some wild story. She was married to one of like the biggest lawyers down here now. She was
Listen,
very nice.
speaking of wild stories, I my great grandma's house that I just sold, like that I was helping my mom clean out a couple years ago,
Mhm.
we sold it, and the lady who bought it, um, is a friend of a friend. So like I know her. I met her. Her mother was in Ava Perón's ballet class,
How
and now
fun!
she owns my great grandmother's house that my grandpa grew up in.
Oh, that's cute. I love
Right?
that. I love that so much.
So
Aw.
the world is much smaller than anyone really thinks it
I know,
is.
it's so crazy. It's so crazy.
So this episode of Stargate was directed by Andy Makita, written by Joseph Malozzi and Paul Mully, and edited by
And
Eric
me.
Hill. And you also wrote it?
Mhm. Last episode when I made all the predictions that came true.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, Not last episode of the podcast, last episode of talking about it, because the last episode of the podcast was the DNA Awards, in which you
Right,
had
right, right.
absolutely already seen this episode.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The last
Um,
episode of last season. Or
yes.
the wrap up or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and edited by Eric Hill, so no one knew there. Our guest star, while there were some other people I wanted to talk about, unfortunately, this one I feel like I have to talk about because she is the most important addition, and that is Tori Higginson, who is the new and correct Dr. Elizabeth Weir.
I do like her better. I'm
Yeah,
sure we'll get into it, but I like
yeah.
her vibe.
She's known for Stargate Atlantis, The City, and The English Patient. She went to London's Guildhall School of Music and Drama and was in the same graduating class as Ewan McGregor.
I love you.
Um, she mostly posts online about her dogs and her garden on Insta. She's like a very like just chill person. She was born in Canada, but she considers herself to have three home countries. And I think it's fairly obvious when she talks that she has a very interesting accent because it's odd mix of those three. There's a couple words she mostly sounds like a normal Canadian American like person, but there's a couple times where she says words and you're like, "Oh, homegirl, you're from somewhere
Yeah.
else." Um,
That's like when Austin and Chase moved to Alaska for like 5 or 6 years, and then they would come back to Louisiana, like deep South Louisiana, and they always had a little bit more of an accent than I did, anyways.
yeah,
But when they combined it, it was like, you're not a real person. You've
no, yeah,
created an entirely new accent that doesn't exist.
yeah, it's okay. Dan yelled at me today because I was talking about something and I said the word data, but I said it with a almost British accent, and he was like, "What are you saying to me right now?" And I go, "Oh, I'm so sorry, my Buffalo A wasn't there. I didn't say data."
I say that word differently every time I say it.
Well, it's actually one of them means one of them means like a single piece of information and one of them means like a large group of information, doesn't it?
I have no idea.
Oh, well, I don't know.
I work for a company called Data Annotation. I say it differently every time I say it. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. But those three countries that she calls home are the US, Canada, and Wales, which explains some of the odd
The weird,
pronunciations
yeah, the weird accents.
because
Gotcha.
Wales is a language that I will never understand.
Yeah. I worked with a Welsh guy at the bar for quite a while. He was there for a while and he moved to where the location, but yeah.
No, I so like obviously right now my Duolingo I'm only doing French because I'm getting ready for my trip because we'll be in the French part of Belgium and France. So I want to make sure that my French is up. So I've only been practicing my French. But before that I was doing all my languages and so like I have studied some of the very, very basics of Welsh. I'm not very far into the course. Um, I'm pretty sure it's just letters. Like they don't make sense. I can speak it and understand it better than Hebrew, which
Sure.
we talked about last week,
Mhm.
that Hebrew is my downfall. Um,
Right.
but still don't think it's a real language.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Um,
You could
yeah,
tell me the Welsh made up a language to say it was Welsh. That doesn't mean anything, and I would believe you.
it's so interesting because so one of the podcasts that I listen to is called British History and it's about like and he started like at the very early like Roman Britannia history of the island of Britain basically. And in that podcast I'm only up to like 590 in terms of years, like where it's still like the 590s. And then I've been
Thought
like
you were
read
talking about episode number, and I was like, that feels really far, and you're making it sound like you're reading
no, sorry.
early.
It's like episode like 140, but it's the year 590.
Gotcha.
And then in The Last Kingdom, it takes place in the 890s, like 800s. And it is
Mm,
wild just in that 300-year difference, the language change in this island.
I believe it.
It is amazing. And I'm really weirdly obsessed with like ancient British history.
I love that for
Um,
you.
Thanks. And it's really nice that I married somebody who's also a nerd.
That does
So,
help.
yeah. All right, we start this episode with a previously on, and it's mostly the season 7 ending, but it also gives us a flashback to our human replicators. My favorite part of the show. Um,
I
so
knew they'd be back.
you did. Um, Daniel's packing to head to a tree talk about Antarctica because, you know, now the entire world knows that we have there. Um, and until all 12 countries that are involved in Antarctica can agree on anything, Jack is stuck down there and they can't go get him. But unfortunately, this treaty keeps getting postponed because getting 12 countries to agree on anything while still holding power is never going to happen. And then we
Right.
get our credits. Does your cup say cats?
No, it doesn't say anything. It's FLS. It's Freestyle Love Supreme.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
thought you were using a cat's mug and I was gonna end our friendship.
Cats like the musical or like the
Yes.
animal?
No,
Okay.
the musical, the worst musical to ever
It was the
exist.
first musical I ever saw
I'm
in
so
part.
I'm so sorry.
I don't remember it. I was like three.
It's I just I understand what it did for dance. I appreciate dancers who like it. I understand that Andrew Lloyd Webber is a genius musically and can do whatever he wants. However, anyone who tells me that Cats is their favorite musical is not a person I want to be friends with.
And no, you can love the song Memory and hate the rest of the show. That's perfectly
Yeah.
acceptable.
Yeah.
No, this is a Lin-Manuel Miranda show. That's like
Oh no, I know.
improv.
I
Oh,
know
okay.
free I know Freestyle Love Supreme.
I
It's
love it.
love it. I
I
wish that
got
I
front
had
row
ever.
seats and they called me
Oh,
out on the show. It was dope.
jealous. Um After the credits, the Stargate operations are being halted until the treaty. So basically, everyone's just at base twiddling their fucking thumbs. And SG-1 wants to use the modified cargo ship from the end of season 7 to go to Hala, the planet with the human replicators, to contact the Asgard from that galaxy so that maybe they can save Jack. And Weir's like, it's too risky. And as of right now, that ship is the only ancient technology we have that we have access to. And so it's worth more than Jack.
Yeah.
Which
Which. is the correct move that sucks.
Yes, right. I'm like, I do fully understand, especially because the probability of the ship not coming back from that mission is high. High, high, high.
Right.
Um,
And Jack
Sam,
wouldn't want that either. He would say
no,
that was the same too.
yeah. Unless it was Sam, and then he would break all of the rules.
Sure, right,
Which is why
right.
then Sam immediately, in the least Sam-like thing that she could do, goes to Weir and basically blackmails her into letting them take the ship anyway.
100%. And I was
Like,
like, what are you doing, oh, girl?
Samantha. But Daniel has to stay behind. Only she and Teal can go, because he has to decipher all the information they got from the outpost and be ready for the tree. And if they get stuck in the other world, he's the last hope of saving Jack.
Right. Again, fair.
Fair. All of these decisions, other than Sam suddenly becoming like an espionage blackmailer, make sense so
Right,
far.
sure.
Um,
Sure, sure.
Teal'c and Sam are on the ship, and sweet, sweet Sam cannot function being alone with Teal'c. I don't know what's happening. She's like
But like,
babbling.
they never really have time, just the two of them. And I didn't really think about it. They have like what, the locker scene
Yeah,
where they have a heart to heart kind of.
right. And like Jack and Teal'c click because they both don't talk about their feelings.
Right.
Daniel and Teal'c click because Daniel just needs a sounding board. Daniel is
Right.
a talk myself out of my problems out loud and don't need advice kind of person, just a like needs a sounding board. Um, Sam is a normal human being, which really doesn't work with any of the other people that we have.
It does not.
So she's babbling about sandwiches and all this stuff, and she's asking like Teal'c all these questions about his personal life, like, hey, how's your girlfriend? How's your son? How's brain tag? Like, how's life? And so Teal'c is like, okay, this is how you have a conversation. How's your boyfriend? And she goes, I'm gonna go get you a sandwich.
Yeah.
Like, ma'am, if you want someone to be your friend, you have to also share your
Right.
feelings.
That is how that you have to go back and forth. A little give and take.
Um, Back on Earth, the Antarctica Treaty's still not going well, and Daniel's wondering why Weir's even at the SGC instead of handling the negotiations. He's like, if everything is falling apart down there, and this is literally your number one best skill set, why are you here? Like, why aren't you there? Um, but before she can give him a real answer, the gate activates unexpectedly, and they receive a text message, which they actually call a text message, which was
They did, and I was
very
like, what? I mean, I know
2004.
we had texting, but it was
Yeah,
T9 and you could send like one message a day or you were charged
right.
like
Hold on.
$300.
Yeah. When did text messaging get invented?
It may have been 2004.
The first text message was sent in 1992. But no. But texting did not become a mainstream communication method until the 2000s. But when? Um,
But like, I
um,
don't think, I mean, my parents, I don't think they had texting on their phones until the 2000s. They had phones,
yeah, no,
not
same, same.
not when I was born, but like eventually they had phones.
Um, it wasn't until 2007 that text messaging was the widely most widely used mobile data service.
Could you text on Nokia phones?
Yeah, you could. And I know that because I had a Nokia phone and I got in trouble because I didn't have a text messaging plan because this was like in
Right, because
2000.
they didn't have those.
They
Yeah.
they weren't automatically part of your things, but some of my friends who did have text messaging plans would
Mm,
text me all the time and I would just respond anyway, even though I shouldn't have, and I got in trouble because I was using
you
too
did.
much. I was like
Yeah.
spending this is like 10 cents a text message.
Right.
And this was in like 2000, yeah, like 2007, 2008 that I was having this problem. So 2004, I didn't even have a cell phone yet in 2004. I got my first cell phone in 2000, Christmas of 2005.
I got mine in '05 or '06, and it was one of those like Virgin mobile phones, those
Mm,
like silver ones. and it had a little antenna on it that did work, and I was terrified I was going to break it, so it was so skinny.
Yes.
And I think I could send like 5 texts a day or something. Like it
Well,
was,
so I had a
and I couldn't
Nokia.
even make calls. Like
No,
I had like 10 minutes I could use a day, or you could call and text, or you could call after 9.
after nine. Yeah, I had a Nokia flip phone, got it in 2005. And I could only had free calling after nine. Um,
Hmm.
and the only people I could call for free before nine were the people on my same plan. So like my mom and dad, I could call at any
Right,
time for free.
right.
And that was it. And then I got a phone that had like an MP3 player in it, like a fancy phone in
Ooh.
like 2007, but I still didn't have unlimited texting until 2009.
Yeah, I think I got
And I didn't have a smartphone until 2000. I didn't have an iPhone until 2010 or
well
11,
if
and
we're
I bought it
talking
myself.
if we're talking iPhones, I don't think I had one until like 2012, 2013. Like I don't know that I had it before college because
No,
I
well, yeah,
did
I was in college. I started college in
iPhones were out.
2010. I got an iPhone, so
Mm-hmm.
I got an iPhone when I started college. So it wasn't until 2010 that I had an iPhone.
Because I had
And
a Razor in high school, and then I had also had the BlackBerry Pearl. You remember
mm,
the Pearl? Those were the two phones I had in
no,
high school.
I had I had I had a Samsung, like a Sony Ericsson flip phone, but then this is
Hmm.
my favorite phone ever. It was a Sony Ericsson MP3 player phone, and it was jungle green, and it was a slide phone. So like it looked like a regular
Like the sidekick.
but then no, but you didn't, then you just popped it up, and the
Yeah,
keyboard was under. Yeah, so like a
yeah.
sidekick, but vertically. It was the best. I still have it.
Oh, vertically.
Yeah, so like
Oh,
so
I was gonna
literally
say
it
Rachel
just
had the one that was sideways.
yeah, no, mine was just like it literally just like it went from being like this tall to being this tall when you slid the screen up and the
Hmm,
keyboards were under it.
I love that.
Yeah, best phone I ever had. Could not imagine going back to it now because what would I do with it?
Sure.
But yeah, so anyway, text messaging.
Right, right, right.
The text message is from Camulus, who is a Gould that we have not met yet. Who wants to send representation of the system lords to Earth to negotiate a treaty.
That's my third one.
Yeah.
I have the replicators. I have the Antarctic Treaty. Oh, the Asgards.
Yeah.
I've said the Asgards.
Yeah.
And trying to have a treaty with the government.
However, my favorite thing is that you specifically said that Ball would not be the most powerful system lord anymore because he doesn't seem big bad enough. And I was dying because Ball is probably the most well known, like in terms of if you ask people who the best gold big bads were in Stargate, like post series, Apophis and Ball are the only two people will say.
Really?
Yeah, so Ball's about to become like the big bad.
Nah, I'm fine. He's
Um,
not big bad enough.
Teal'c and Sam drop out of hyperspace, but they can't see the planet because they're immediately being pulled into a black hole.
That was not on my bingo card.
No, it was not on your bingo card. And funny enough, Dan was talking about time dilation in black holes, and I just go, I wonder what it must do to someone's lifespan to have been sucked into that many time dilations for black holes. Like, what does it do to you? And he goes, really? Has it been that many? I go, this is definitely the third time, at
I will
least.
say the black hole popped up, and I was like, are we just like throwing every storyline we've ever had into this one episode? Is that what's happening right now?
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Um, So on Earth, Daniel and we are discussing the cause of the Goa'uld wanting to come to Earth. Like, why would they want to be here? What's in it for them? What threat is it to us? Blah blah blah. Um, but the president has. Oh, then we flash back to Sam and Teal, who are stuck and have no idea why or how or what's going on. Um, Back on Earth, the president has greenlit the Goa'uld negotiations. So Daniel fills Weir in. And on what his thoughts are, what he thinks would do, and then suddenly somehow that turns into him having the lead in these negotiations. She's like, okay, go ahead and do that.
But like, he always ends up
I
in the
know.
negotiations. Bless him. Bless him.
Um, Back in space, the black hole is pulling too hard and the ship starts to break apart. But just in time, Thor beams them out of their cargo ship. On Earth, the Goa'uld that are coming to Earth for the negotiation are Camulus, Amaterasu, and Yu.
Best of
Um,
you.
best of you. Amaterasu is a Japanese um deity, and Camulus, what did they say? Where did they say he hailed from?
Sounds Roman, but I don't know either of them. I haven't heard of
Oh
the.
no, he's Celtic. I knew it was a weird one.
Oh, that's
He's
yeah.
the Celtic deity of war, so he is the Celtic version of Ares. Um
Okay.
um and then Amaterasu is, I could spell Amaterasu. Okay. Amaterasu is a Japanese sun goddess. Her name translates to the great divinity that illuminates heaven.
Like Hilaros? Is that the name? Helios? That's the name I was
Yes.
looking for, is Helios. I don't
Yes.
know why I talked in circles for her.
Yeah, no. But so
Uh,
she's like the Shinto version of Helios, or
gotcha.
who's the sun god in, I don't know.
Is it Hilaros? Did I make it up correctly?
I don't, maybe sun gods.
Just saying.
Who are the sun gods? Apollo. And Helios
Apollo's a
is
sun god?
he's the god of light. So he's sometimes associated.
Oh, I guess that makes
Helios is the
sense.
actual sun god.
Right.
But then Apollo is also connected. Um, oh, Sol. Sol is the sun god in Rome.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
Fucking makes sense.
Right.
And then Ra in Egypt, which I knew.
I don't know if I knew that.
Because he's the
Surely we
father.
talked about it though.
Yeah, he's the father of all gods, the sun, just like,
Oh, I knew Father of all gods. I just don't make
yeah.
connections sometimes.
Um, yeah. Oh, Helios is the titan of the sun, but Apollo is the god of light.
Gotcha.
And he's the god of light and healing, so they associate that with the sun. But yes,
Mm,
but also planets and titans in Greek mythology is more complicated than others for some
right.
reason. Mostly because everyone had sex with Zeus. Um,
He's a real guy.
did you say he's a riddle?
I said he's a real guy.
Oh, I thought he's a riddle. And I was like, I mean,
He is unfortunately not a riddle. We know exactly what he has done with his life. But that's okay. Shoot
um,
straight.
and Daniel explains that we don't hate you. His besties.
Obs. Obs.
Although I forgot that you was dying.
I did too.
Tragic.
That sucks.
Um, back in space, Bestie Thor, who is not Bestie at this moment, it says he cannot save O'Neill. But it's because he has to wait until he's certain that the replicators have actually been destroyed, because it turns out the Asgard artificially increased the gravitational field of the sun to cause it to collapse to destroy the planet and the replicators.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, the replicators turned themselves into a ship and flew away from the planet.
Why would they not? What do you think is gonna happen?
Like at this point, I genuinely, the freaking replicators are like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, like little buttons. You just press them and they turn into whatever you need them to be.
Yeah, honestly, I hate them the most. I know they're a big deal, but like out of all of the bad things, they're the ones that annoy me the most in general. I
No,
hated the
like
spiders.
they're not good bad guys. They're terrible bad guys.
They're terrible bad guys, and everything they do is set up so everything is conveniently will be whatever it needs to be for them. There's no like character building because it could literally be anything every episode.
Yeah. Again,
So
but here's the thing, if it just stayed machines, I'd be fine. If it was
yeah,
like,
no, for sure.
if it was like, oh, they're a spider and now they're a spaceship and now they're a car and now they're a
Right.
boat, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're both spider bots and humans and spaceships and like liquid seeping into engines, like get it
It just
together.
makes it too convenient. It's not. It's why did you write them in if you were just gonna change what they are every episode?
Yeah, just have different bad guys.
Just have different bad guys. Yeah.
Um, they use the time dilation device to move away from the black hole, which, to be fair, smartest thing anyone's done on the show ever.
Truly.
Why did they
Truly.
not? Why did Thor not? put together that they would be able to do that. You gave them the only thing that can combat a black hole and then put them in a black hole.
Right. Yeah.
The system lords arrive on Earth and they want to make the talks quick. They just want to get in and get out. They're not there to be friends. Fine.
Today.
Um, the replicator ship fires on Thor's ship, and Sam goes to take out whatever replicators have breached the hull. And she and Teal'c are trying to fight so that the replicators don't take over Thor's ship. Then we go back to Earth, and the Gould explain that they tried to divide Anubis' territory evenly, but Baal backstabbed everyone and took all of the Cull before they could, and now they want to stop the other system lords from kneeling to Baal.
Right.
Basically, they were like, let's divide up all of the Pokemon cards. Or no,
Hmm.
I don't know enough about Pokemon cards, so I'm going to go to Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Somebody decides they don't want Yu-Gi-Oh cards anymore, and then they're like, let's divide them up all evenly. And so you get 10, and you get 10, and you get 10, and I get 10, but in my 10, I have all 5 pieces of Exodia, and now you want to fucking throw a fit. How is that his fault?
You don't get to pick all the best ones just because you're meaner than everyone.
Yeah, but like, all of the Cull Warriors are on one planet? All of the Cull Warriors are
Sure.
on one planet. How is it Ball's fault if that's one of the planets that he got and was split up?
He's strong-armed it. You know he did. It wasn't like they were just like, here's your planet. It happens to have all of the best and strongest technology of people on it.
But he could make that argument. You got
But then
eight
he'd
and
be a
I got
liar.
eight. No, but if you got eight and I got eight and my eight are just better than yours, that's not my fault.
Well, that's why I know Pokemon better than I know Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay.
If you're gonna give me a shiny Charizard, I better be giving you 5 cards back. It's not the equivalent. If you give me 5 cards and I just so happen to have the
But
best
they
rare
didn't,
card.
that's on them because they didn't understand semantics. They're not lawyers. They said divide evenly. They didn't say, they said divide the territory evenly. They didn't say divide the territory based on resources. They didn't say divide the territory based on size. They say divide the territory evenly, and he got the better territory. Sucks to suck. As Ball's attorney, I
They
think this
need
is some
it.
bullshit.
They need a mediation attorney who is not biased and will come in and divide this evenly as if it is a custody battle. And that is how I think it should have been handled. And all of the kids could have been set up. If he was going to get the strongest planet with the best warriors, that's his planet. All these meager, non helpful, less resourceful planets, you get 7 planets. They may not be helpful, but you get 7 because he got the one that's going to take over the world.
But then he's still gonna have all those warriors, and people are still gonna bow to him, and then they're still gonna have a temper tantrum that he's stronger than they are because
Right,
the
but if they have 7 planets, they can build them up. It's going to take a minute. They have more resources. And if he only has the one, he can't expand it with only the one. You know what I'm saying? Like he is stuck with what he has. It's going to be hard to grow with that because it's already all
yes,
taken over.
but we're also talking about people whose only goal in life is conquest, and so he will take it over, and then
Sure, sure. But if you have good defense for long enough, unlike the Knicks, I want to tell you, I'm so mad. Anyways, I hope the Pacers lose in the finals. I've had a rough week with the NBA. Yeah,
um,
terrible defense. Do not use defense like that.
where was I? Oh, Sam and Teal'c find the replicators, but somehow they beam Sam off of Thor's ship.
Yeah.
Um, the replicator ship enters hyperspace, and Thor and Teal'c have to follow it. Then we go back to Earth where they explain that Baal thinks that the Asgard are gone, and he's going after the planets protected by the treaty because he doesn't think the Asgard are actually going to stop him.
But why does he think the Asgard got? Just because they've like been a little MIA for a couple of years?
Yeah.
Like, but there's no like real reason to be like,
There's been too many attacks on Earth where Earth saved itself and the Asgard weren't present that he was like, are they really
but
helping?
isn't that kind of their rule? They're like, we aren't really supposed to step in and do anything about this as per this treaty situation.
But the treaty says that these planets that the Asgard will step in for these particular planets. What the Asgard won't do is get into issues within the planet. So, like, if
Mm,
Russia and the US are fighting, Asgard has nothing to do with that. But if the
right.
Goa'uld come to Earth, Asgard is supposed to protect Earth. That's the point of the treaty. Asgard won't go after the planets that the Goa'uld are on. They will not attack the Goa'uld, but they will stop the Goa'uld from entering the planets that are under protection, which they have not done since the Replicator War.
But also, if you want your child to get stronger, you have to let them fight their own battles until they can't. And they've protected themselves every time so far.
So far,
So,
but he's willing to risk that Earth is the only one who can do that.
mm,
He's
I see. I
he's willing
see.
to risk that Earth did it because they had to, and this planet over here isn't going to be able to.
Do what they should about you.
Um, Back in space, the replicators are heading to Arilla, which is the new Asgard home planet, and to steal the neutronium, which is some kind of thing that will help them.
Is chromium like a naquadah, but
New
not the
no, so
same?
neutronium is one of
Neutron.
neutronium, it's like nutrient, but it is
Sure.
one of the things that the Asgard use in their technology, and it's the thing that the replicators feed off of the most that helps them replicate.
Gotcha.
Um, Turns out Sam is a prisoner on the replicator ship, and Fifth comes to talk to her.
Yeah. Yeah. Betrayal.
Betrayal. Weir is stressed because in the negotiations, Daniel's just fucking bluffing hard. He's just saying wildly untrue shit to the Gould, and Weir is like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. Um,
Which also doesn't feel like Daniel because he's always very much like, these are the facts I found. This is the things that have happened.
Listen, everyone that Daniel cares about is gone. Hammond
That's
got fired. Jack is stuck in a cryogenic freeze and no one will let him help. Sam and Teal took a spaceship off to meet the Asgard without him. He's trapped on Earth with this dumb bitch who he respects in terms of negotiating, but she clearly doesn't give a shit about the SGC. And he's like,
and he's fallen Daniel, so he's a little bit more intense
he's a
too.
little jaded.
Yeah.
He's like nobody,
Fair.
and he's like, I'm the only person in this entire building who understands that the Goa'uld are lying through their fucking teeth at all times. No one else will take me seriously, so I'm gonna have to play Jack.
Yeah.
Um, Thor tells Teal'c that their only option is to self-destruct the ship and hope that when they self-destruct the ship, it also destroys the replicator ship, and that it is sayonara to everybody.
So risky. Everyone's being so risky this
So
episode.
risky. That's the new order, risk, man. Fifth is like, I'm glad you fucked me over because it taught me how to be a douchebag. He's like, I learned what revenge is and I learned what pain is, and now I hate you. And thanks for teaching me all of the human emotions.
Thrilled to have you here.
Um, Weir and Daniel try to push the Gould off, but they're like when they're like, we're done. Thanks for the nothing. Your negotiations are stupid. You have nothing to offer us. And they're like, actually, we do. Here, if you cooperate with us and help us get rid of Ball, we will give you hyperdrive weapons, like hyperdrive engines for all of your ships.
Sounds dope.
Yeah. Thor tries to self-destruct his ship, but it turns out the replicators actually have taken away control of the ship and they're now running the ship, and Thor has no control. Um, Back on Earth, Weir finally puts her big girl pants on and turns down all the hyperdrives and says that we're cool without it and that the Gold can suck her dick.
Mhm.
Um, and Amaterasu was like, "Oh, that's so cool. I'm glad you're so strong, but maybe like a little bird tells Ball that you're like not as up on your weapons as you say you are, and you have to take him out without our quid pro quo." And then what happens?
Not everyone is black Panther.
Everybody is being a bitch. Everybody is being a
Yeah.
shady bitch. Weir says fine, but we want Ball's territory. Like that's she and she goes, that's what you guys do, right? You destroy someone and you take their territory. If I take Ball, I want his territory. I don't understand. And
Absolutely. You
yeah.
tell him.
You tell them, and the system lawyers are like, we're gonna need a minute to regroup. Shit. Um, the ship's too late. The replicators make it to Arilla. They're going to, and so for oh, we just find out that they're going to make it to Arilla at that point. This episode, that's the only problem is because there's two A storylines. It goes back and forth like every scene. Um,
Right.
Weir contemplates reviving Jack and using the weapon again, but first she has Daniel decode the message that the Gould sent to the other system lords to discuss the negotiation and the regrouping. Um, and we find out that they're just like asking for advice on what to do and what they think is going on here. Um, Thor sends info to the other Asgard that they need to ambush the replicator ship as soon as it pops out of hyperdrive before it can put its shields up. It's their only hope of actually destroying the replicators. Um, Beth continues torturing Sam, but then she starts crying and has a breakdown, and so does he because he can't handle it because he's not a douchebag. Um, I mean, a little bit, but
Right. Sure, sure, sure.
um, the Gould know that they're bluffing. But they don't know what to do. The message that they send out is like, we know that they're lying, but we don't actually know what the next step is. Um, but then they get a response from their other system lords, and so Daniel has to now decode the response from the other council. Um, the Asgard successfully destroy the replicator ship, and at this point, we
Yay.
are not sure if Sam what that means for Sam because she is theoretically on that ship.
Right.
Um, the system lords are recalled, but Daniel traps them on Earth and doesn't let them off the planet because it turns out that the message that they got back was a message to say leave so that we can test whether they're actually able to destroy us or not. And the Gould are going to ambush Earth. So Daniel says, y'all can stay here for that.
We're all in this together.
And then that's the end. To be fair, it's only kind of the end
Sure.
because it's
Sure.
the end of part one, but the episode was originally, well, where's my notes about how it was
Like
aired?
a short movie.
It was originally aired as a 90-minute episode all at once. So like next week's episode, I won't have any
Mm.
new like on this day things because it'll all still be July 9th. It was originally aired
Right.
as a 90-minute episode and then it was split and then it was unsplit and then it was split again. Like they just couldn't make up their mind whether they wanted this to be a two-part episode or a movie. Like but it was originally aired as a 90-minute segment. Um which is why the cliffhanger is like cliffhangery, but not like
Yeah.
dramatically. Like when it's like I feel like the is Sam on the ship or not would have been a much bigger deal if this had actually been the for
Been
real
two
end of an
shows. Yeah.
episode. If it had been 2 weeks apart.
Because this was just like a climax in a movie.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Speaking of climaxes, the end of I was behind on Grey's Anatomy. I finally watched the season finale and it ended in a way that I was gasping and crying in a way I haven't done in Grey's Anatomy in multiple seasons. And I didn't know it was the season finale. And then I realized it was, and I won't get an answer to who was in the explosion for six
Spoilers,
months.
spoilers, spoilers. Tell me everything.
um, yeah, so this lady held up an operating room because her daughter, they weren't going to operate on her daughter because she had like a brain bleed. And then she like held up the operating room with like this tank of like
Tetras.
explosive gas. But she said that the gas tank was empty. And then the police said that the gas tank was empty after they arrested her. But then her husband was like, I don't have any empty tanks on my truck. If she, that she must have opened the valve. It's only empty because she leaked it all into the room. And then they had just reopened the OR and then Meredith was leaving the building and then boom, explosion behind her. I'm pretty sure Link was in the OR and Link and Joe just got married and he just found out that the twins that she's pregnant with are girls and then he fucking was cauterizing a wound in the OR and I think he died in an explosion, but I don't get to know until November.
I don't know him, but that sounds tragic.
Oh my God.
Ugh, what a ride. All right, spoilers forever. We can come back to the episode.
um yeah, so what are your thoughts about Stargate? Because it clearly was not as dramatic
Um,
as Grey's Anatomy, but
Clearly not. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't anticipate Sam's dying. I don't anticipate that Earth's gonna blow up. We're at season 8, episode 1. Like, we're not, we're
surprise, the
not
rest of season 8 happens
changing.
on a different planet.
Right, like we're not changing the entire show today. So, I don't anticipate any of that.
Yeah.
Um, I think Thor is gonna swoop in last minute and be like, everything's fine, now I can save your lives.
Yeah.
Like, and the Asgard will be back. I counted 5 plot points that I pointed out
Hmm.
last week that did happen today, that came or were readdressed today at least.
Yeah. Now,
Um,
most importantly, of everything that happened in this episode, something happened that you have not commented on yet, and I am really concerned that it was not as shocking for you as I thought it was going to be.
oh no. Did I? First of all, I watched this with you.
Yeah.
So maybe I've forgotten, or maybe I just, who's to say?
Um, in this episode, for the first time in the entire show, and with no answer, explanation, nor will we ever get one, Teal'c has hair.
I sure didn't notice that. I'm not even gonna lie. I didn't even notice that.
That's what I when I was talking about there was a big, big, big change coming that was going to be shocking, and you were like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Teal'c has hair now.
I am so sorry.
Um,
I sure didn't notice.
Christopher Judge has been
Yeah,
trying to let him grow his hair out since about season 3, and they have not. And
that's so
then
funny.
in this episode, they finally just gave up and stopped fighting with him, and now Teal'c has hair. But they never wrote an answer for it, never wrote a reason for it. I like to pretend that it's because now that he has fully separated from his like symbiote, and
Symbiote, yeah.
he's fully separated from the like Jaffa, and the free Jaffa have broken their alliance with Earth. He's like no longer practicing like the rituals of the Jaffa, which
Right.
included shaving his head. I like made up my whole own backstory for it, which is very similar to a lot of the other made up backstories for it. But there is never a canon reason for why Teal'c suddenly gets hair.
Oh, but this is like this is his hair from this episode.
Correct. Don't worry.
Right, so I probably wouldn't have
It
noticed.
just keeps growing though.
Oh,
But
I see.
but
I looked
it
up Tilk with hair and he looks like he's like an old man with his long locks here. Um, yeah, I think that's probably why I didn't notice it.
um
It was a little more subtle, and I've seen him like I've seen pictures of him with hair, I guess.
yeah, you've seen pictures of
So,
Christopher Judge as a person with hair.
right. So I
Um
didn't wasn't a shock to the system.
but remember, it's 2004, we don't have the internet, and Teal'c suddenly has hair.
Right.
It was a
Yeah, yeah.
very big deal when it happened.
That's really funny. That's really funny.
Yeah. This is also the first episode ever broadcast in HD widescreen because
Oh,
that's where we're at in the
that's
history
the
of
time
television.
of life we're in.
Um, and my only other trivia is that the first draft of season 8 actually did not have Weir taking over the SGC. It gave that job to Wolsey. Um,
Oh,
and
interesting.
then they figured out that that wouldn't work as well as they wanted it
Sure.
to. They changed it back, but it also Jomo said that he really really loved Robert Ricardo and Woolsey in the character, and that he had to get rid of him as the lead of the SGC just because it didn't work for what they were going for. But he promised that Woolsey would come back because the character is too good to be done.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes
So
sense. I
yeah.
really like Where I like this actress better. She's a better actress. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't like I do understand that I basically watched this back to back with like the episode I watched with Hammond. So like it hasn't been a long time since I've seen him, but
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I didn't feel he's lost necessarily based on her
Well, I also think it's
reaction, you
also
know?
think yeah, I also think it's weird. It's just a hard thing. I think it's not really gonna feel like a new show until after we resolve the Jack situation. Because right
Right.
now we're still in the middle of the question, like of what happens. Like that episode, I mean, Richard Dean Anderson is still credited in this episode, but in the IMDb it says like credits only. Like he's not
Yeah.
in this episode. Um
Well, like even you think about it, like when like I expected to start this episode and be like, oh, I really feel different because Hannah's not here. Because like even when we lost Daniel and got Jonah, I was like, oh, this feels very different. Like
Yeah.
it's not bad, it just feels very different. And this, I didn't get that same feeling. I was like, this still feels like the same show. We just have a different person
And
now.
I think that will change in the next couple episodes because
Okay.
we're still in the middle. Basically, the season finale and the season premiere are one
Hmm.
super long movie episode.
Yeah, that makes
Because
sense.
you have to remember, this two-parter crosses over with the two-parter of Atlantis, and it hasn't yet. So, like, a
Hmm.
lot happens in the second half of this episode.
Yeah,
So, we shall see.
in 3 hours when I watch it.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so, who do you want to punch?
I know he kind of redeemed himself, but Coward Punch Fifth.
Who?
Fifth?
Oh,
And
Fifth.
that his
Yeah,
name?
I thought you said Fez, and I was like, what?
Oh no, like I mean, of course I want to punch like all the system lords and everybody who's being petty and shady, but
Yeah,
like the one that really which like made me angry while I was watching it was Fifth. And like I get it.
yeah,
I don't think he was wrong for the way he acted.
right.
I just don't like what happened.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna punch Emiratu. Um, because listen, never gonna punch Bestie you. And
Yeah.
Calamus is shady. He's a jerk, but she's like smug about it. And she's way more punchable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, who is
Yeah,
your
she reminds me of the when we had the like the three council
yeah, and
and
Nirti.
yeah,
And that was the
yeah.
first time we saw Nirti, and she was a smug little bitch too.
Right, yeah.
Like you was being best to you, Kronos was being a dick, but Nirti was shady and smug, and Amaterasu was pulling the same shit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So she's not gonna be able to be our bestie for long.
no. Who's
Who's
your
my
MVP?
MVP? I don't this is just kind of a weird episode of there was just so much. There was just so much in it.
Yeah.
Um I did decide this earlier and then I immediately forgot. Um I think I'm gonna go with Where. And I know
That's
we're
fine
still
because
early with
she was
her,
actually my first choice too.
because she's really kind of like growing into her role and she's like, I get that I don't know anything that's going on, but
Hmm.
I'm gonna trust that you being involved in this know what's best.
Yeah.
And you say this is what we're gonna do, then we're going in full force.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like it.
I'm gonna pick Daniel for similar reasons.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
That's
Well,
fair.
our next.
Oh, I wanted to tell you, I was not lying. I'm taking notes this season.
Oh.
So I don't forget what happened in the episode. That was important. But I'm taking it while we record so I can make sure I actually write down the important things and not just things that I thought were important while watching. Um,
Love that.
so that when we do the DNA awards in 3 years, I have a cheat sheet.
Yeah. When we do the DNA awards in 3 years, I'll at least have been done with the show and enough that maybe I'll just rewatch it and to make myself feel better.
I love that great.
I say that now when I won't have time. Um, 3 years from now, I'll have a toddler.
I was about to say 3 years from now, you're gonna like have a kid or something.
I have a kid that's gonna be ruining my life. I said something about
Love that for you.
retiring. I said something the other day about retiring in 30 years and how like it would give me more time to work on my podcast. And then I go, oh my God, can you imagine me trying to do this podcast when I'm 65?
Could you imagine though?
I
What a
mean,
wild ride that would
it's gonna
be.
be amazing. I'm not gonna
I
stop.
mean, we'll be 65 doing Stargate still because it's
Correct.
gonna take that long.
Yeah.
We've been doing Stargate how long?
We
Like 12
started
years?
Stargate in and we started Stargate in
1, 2,
2021.
2022.
I came to visit you in no in 2022. So we've only been doing it for 3 years and we're more than
We've
more. We're about halfway done. No, no, we're not.
halfway. In Atlantis, a lot of seasons too.
Atlantis is 5 seasons and Universe is two, so technically that means we have
And
nine
isn't there
more.
continuum? What is that? Isn't that a
That's a
Stargate?
movie. There's two movies that we'll
Oh,
watch.
okay.
The Continuum and Arc of Truth are movies that we'll watch when
So those won't take a year.
those won't
They'll
take a
just
year.
be an episode.
No, so we have 9 more seasons and we've watched 7. So we're almost halfway.
Unless they come back with another Stargate show like they tease frequently.
They keep frequently teasing it, but mostly I think it's just dumb people on Reddit. I don't
I'm
think it's
sure it
happening.
is. Because when did Universe end? That wasn't too long ago, though.
Universe was canceled in 20 or 2011, 10, 11,
Really? I thought
9.
it
It
was
was
not that. That was. I
no.
thought it was not
Wait.
that long ago.
No, it might have been for so when did Stargate Universe? It was canceled. It was obviously the last one of
Right.
the shows, but it ended in yeah, it was from 2009 to 2011. I was right.
So when is Atlantis? It's 2004, 2009.
2004 to 2009, yes.
I don't know why I thought those were more recent things.
Well, because if you think about it as being when Stargate SG-1 ends, then adding 5 years for Atlantis and then adding 2 years for Universe, it would make sense, but the Atlantis SG-1 crossover changes that.
Oh, I was thinking 2017 because that's when Origins came out. We just already watched that.
Yes, because it was garbage and it was a fan-made film.
Right. I was like, why do I keep thinking 2017?
Yeah.
Because that was different. And they
Yes.
already did that.
Yes.
So I just rubbed makeup straight across my face.
That's okay.
That's fine.
If you have thoughts, theories, feelings, you can email us at deathandaliens@gmail.com or follow us on all the social media at Death and Aliens. You can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And you can find me at CE Cloud 13.
When does this episode air? I just, it doesn't matter.
In like January of next year.
Probably. I was just trying to figure out if I would be in Europe already when this comes out.
Oh, I think you will, because I think this is like second week of June, July. Let's see.
Uh, yeah, nope, I will be, this will come out the day before I leave for Europe. So this comes out on, yeah, on the 6th. So the day my honeymoon starts when I leave for Toronto. So that's exciting. And that means that,
Just
yeah,
really confused myself. Everything's fine.
everything's fine. All right. Well, we will see you on Thursday as we continue our struggling, prodding journey through Clarice.
Yeah. Yeah. See you then.
Bye. Oh my God.